The crowd trembled under the alien sky. Thousands of warriors from 100 worlds stood silent in the great arena of Xylar 9. The air shimmered with energy. The ground itself hummed, alive with the power of the Empire. At the center stood Krathor, the warlord of Xylar, his armor forged from the bones of defeated species. His voice shook the metal walls when he roared. "Who dares challenge me? Who among you has the courage to face the champion of worlds?" Silence. Not even the wind dared to whisper. Around the arena, aliens bowed their heads. No one wished to die today. They had seen what happened to the last warrior. His body still burned in the sands, a reminder of Krathor's wrath. Then, a sound. Soft footsteps echoed. From the shadows near the entrance, a figure stepped forward. Not tall, not armored, not glowing with alien power. Just a human, thin, scarred, eyes calm as still water. Gasps filled the arena. "A human?" one alien hissed. "Impossible. Their planet was destroyed centuries ago." But the human kept walking, slow and steady. No armor, no weapon, just a worn jacket and quiet resolve. He stopped a few feet from Krathor and looked up. Their eyes met, beast and man. The silence grew heavy again, as if the universe itself held its breath. Krathor laughed, a thunder that shook the arena. You dare step before me? What makes you think a fragile creature like you can stand against the warlord of 1,000 victories?" The human's reply was calm, almost soft, but every word carried weight. "Because, Krathor, you've never fought a human before." The laughter stopped. The crowd froze. Something unseen shifted in the air. Fear, maybe, or fate. The warlord's grin faded. His claws flexed. Energy crackled in his hands as the duel began to awaken. But deep within the human's eyes, there was something ancient. Something that didn't belong to any known world. Something even Krathor couldn't understand. The arena lights dimmed as the ground rumbled beneath their feet. Every creature in the crowd leaned forward, some in awe, others in fear. Krathor raised his massive claws, glowing with violet energy that tore through the air like fire. "You've made a mistake, human," he growled, his voice shaking the sky. "In 3 seconds, you'll be dust." But the human didn't move. He stood silent, eyes steady, breathing slow, as if time itself had slowed for him. The warlord lunged forward, faster than any eye could follow. His strike could split a tank in half, yet when the dust settled, the human was gone. The crowd gasped. A blur appeared behind Krathor. The human's voice, quiet but sharp as a blade, whispered, "One." Krathor spun, his tail whipping across the arena, crushing the ground, but again, the human wasn't there. He appeared to the side, eyes glowing faintly blue. 2. Now panic flickered in the warlord's face. He swung his giant claws, releasing a shockwave that shattered the pillars around them. But this time, the human caught the attack with one hand. For a second, everything froze. Krathor's power met the human's calm. The energy folded inward, and the arena exploded in light. When the smoke cleared, Krathor was on his knees. His armor was cracked. His breath came heavy. The human stood before him, untouched. He raised his hand, and softly said, 3. A sudden burst of invisible force slammed Krathor backward, sending him crashing into the wall of the arena. The great warlord of 1,000 victories had fallen in 3 seconds. The crowd erupted, not in cheers, but in stunned silence. No one had ever seen such power from a human. The announcer's voice trembled through the speakers. The human has won. The alien empress, watching from her high throne, rose slowly. Her golden eyes burned with curiosity. "Bring him to me," she ordered. "I want to know what he really is." The human turned toward her, his expression unreadable. Something deep inside him whispered, this was only the beginning. The arena was still shaking when the human was led away. Thousands of eyes followed him, some in awe, others in fear. The great warlord Krathor, who had ruled the arena for decades, lay silent in the sand. No one dared to speak. No one dared to move. High above, inside a golden balcony wrapped in energy shields, sat Empress Zephyra, ruler of the Xylar Empire. Her eyes glowed like burning suns, sharp and unblinking as they watched the human walk calmly toward her throne chamber. The guards surrounding him were taller than giants and carried weapons that could destroy a planet, but the human's face remained calm, almost bored. The great doors opened with a hiss. The room was silent except for the faint hum of alien machinery. Zephyra stood, her voice smooth and cold. "You destroyed my champion in 3 seconds. That has never happened before." The human didn't answer. He simply looked around the throne room, studying every detail. "Tell me, human," she continued. "What are you?" He smiled faintly. "A survivor." The Empress tilted her head. "A survivor of what?" The human's eyes darkened. "Of your empire's wars." A sudden tension filled the chamber. Guards raised their weapons, but Zephyra lifted her hand, stopping them. "You speak boldly for a creature whose world is gone." "Gone," the human replied quietly, "but not forgotten." Silence. For a long moment, neither moved. Then Zephyra stepped closer, her metallic cloak glimmering like starlight. "You interest me, human. I offer you a place, not as a slave, but as my warrior. Fight for me, and I will give you power beyond your imagination." The human's gaze stayed steady. "And if I refuse?" The Empress smiled, a smile that could freeze blood. "Then you'll return to the arena. Against something far worse than Krathor." The human turned, glancing at the guards, then back at her. "You think I fear death?" "No," she said softly. "I think you seek something else." He paused. "And what makes you think you can give it to me?" Zephyra leaned close. "Because I know what you're looking for. Earth's last survivor." The human froze. His heartbeat echoed in his ears. How did she know? No one was supposed to know. Before he could speak, she turned away and said, "Meet me at dawn. Decide by then, serve me or die." The guards stepped forward, but the human whispered to himself, his voice low and dangerous. "She knows about Project Eden." The guards didn't hear him. But the look in his eyes had changed. This was no longer just a fight. It was a mission. The night over Xylar City was alive with neon storms. Lightning danced across the skyline, reflecting off silver towers that reached into the clouds. Far below, in a dark cell beneath the arena, the human sat alone, silent, waiting. He didn't sleep. He never really could. Not since Project Eden. Small blue diamond flashback, 27 years ago. Earth was dying. Wars had burned the continents, and the oceans had turned to poison. In the final days, a secret group of scientists gathered underground, working on one last hope, a program that could rebuild humanity from extinction. They called it Project Eden. Their goal was simple but impossible: create humans who could adapt to any environment, any planet, any war. Stronger bodies. Faster minds. Perfect survival instincts. But there was a catch. Out of thousands of test subjects, only one survived. Him. Back in the present, the cell door opened. 2 guards entered, their armor glowing red. "The Empress awaits," one said. The human stood and followed without a word. They walked through long, glowing corridors filled with alien technology. Strange creatures in glass tubes floated silently, connected to machines humming with blue light. When they reached the upper chamber, Empress Zephyra was already waiting, her cloak of plasma flickering like living fire. "Have you made your choice, human?" she asked. He met her gaze. "You said you know about Project Eden. Tell me how." Zephyra smiled faintly. "Your kind was more dangerous than you realized. My ancestors fought your creators before Earth burned. They feared humans would one day rise again, stronger, unstoppable." She waved her hand, and a hologram appeared, showing old Earth data, broken symbols, and a glowing word, Eden-01. The human's breath caught. That's my designation. Yes, said Zephyra. You are the last weapon of your kind. The last remnant of a world that tried to challenge the stars. The human's eyes hardened. And what do you want from me? To finish what your species started, she replied. Join me, and I will show you the truth about your creators, and the real reason Earth was destroyed. He stared at her for a long moment. His instincts screamed not to trust her. But the word truth burned inside his mind. Finally, he nodded. I'll listen. But if you lie to me... Zephyra interrupted with a smirk. You'll kill me. You can try. The human said nothing. But deep inside, his power began to awaken again, faint energy lines glowing under his skin. Later that night, when the Empress left, the guards whispered among themselves. He's dangerous. No. He's something else, something not even the Empress can control. In his cell, the human closed his eyes and whispered a single word, a name lost in time. Eden, activate. The lights flickered. The walls trembled. Something ancient, something human, was waking again. The night over Xylar 9 had gone silent. No ships moved, no lights blinked. The city seemed to wait, holding its breath. Deep beneath the arena, in the cold metal cell, the human sat cross-legged on the floor. The word still echoed inside his mind. Eden, activate. At first, nothing happened. Then the air began to hum, low, almost gentle, like the sound of a heart starting to beat after centuries of sleep. Blue light crawled across his skin in thin, glowing lines. His pulse slowed. His eyes opened, glowing faintly white. Every memory of the experiments, the pain, the loss of Earth, all returned in a single flash. He felt the code awakening inside his blood. Project Eden was no myth. It was alive. And it was him. Above ground, alarms screamed through the royal palace. Containment breach. Energy surge in Sector 13. Guards rushed toward the lower halls, weapons ready. But when they reached the human cell, the door had already melted into silver dust. Inside stood the human, calm and silent. The floor beneath his feet shimmered with energy symbols no one could read. One guard stepped forward. Stop. Identify yourself. The human looked up slowly. I'm what your Empress woke. He moved, faster than sight. A pulse of invisible force spread through the corridor, disabling every guard without killing them. Weapons floated in the air, twisted into useless metal. The human walked through the corridor like a ghost of light. Cameras shut down as he passed. Sensors died. Doors opened for him automatically, as if recognizing their creator. In the throne chamber, Empress Zephyra watched the readings on her control screens. Her voice trembled for the first time. He's awake. Eden is awake. Her advisor stammered, shall we activate the planetary defense grid? Zephyra shook her head. No. Not yet. I want to see what he becomes. Back in the corridor, the human reached a massive observation window overlooking the alien city. He stared at the sky, at the millions of lights that had replaced the stars of Earth. He whispered softly, You burned my world. Now you'll see what you created. The blue glow spread outward, racing into the sky like lightning veins. Every power system in the city flickered, every ship stalled. Across Xylar 9, people looked up and saw a single human figure surrounded by light brighter than the sun's. For the first time, the Empire felt fear. The city of Xylar 9 burned with blue light. Power grids failed. Ships fell from the sky like dying stars. The air itself shimmered from the human's awakening, a wave of energy that rewrote everything it touched. Deep inside the palace, alarms screamed. Guards ran through the halls while scientists shouted readings that made no sense. Energy output is beyond level 10. He's rewriting our systems. Empress Zephyra stood before the main screen, watching the chaos unfold. Her golden eyes narrowed, but there was no fear in them, only fascination. "So this is the power of Project Eden," she whispered. "A human who can command the code of creation itself." Her second-in-command bowed beside her. "My Empress, if he isn't stopped, the entire planet will collapse." Zephyra turned sharply. "Then deploy the sentinels." The room fell silent. Even the guards froze. Everyone knew what that meant. The sentinels were the Empire's ultimate weapon, ancient biomachines built from alien flesh and star metal. Half living, half machine, controlled only by the Empress herself. Far below, the human stood at the edge of the observation deck. The light around him dimmed. He could feel the planet's heartbeat, a rhythm of power and fear. Then the floor shook. A deep roar echoed through the city as enormous shapes emerged from the clouds, dark, winged, glowing with crimson cores. The sentinels had awakened. Each was the size of a warship, eyes burning like molten stars. They locked onto the human signal, their mechanical voices booming through the air. "Target identified. Project Eden. Terminate." The first sentinel dived, firing a beam of red plasma. The explosion tore through the palace, sending shockwaves for miles. Dust and smoke filled the air. For a moment, everything went quiet. Then, through the fire, the human walked out. His jacket burned away, his body glowing with blue energy that pulsed like lightning under his skin. He raised his hand. The air bent around his palm. With a flick of his wrist, the plasma beam reversed, shooting straight back at the sentinel. The massive creature screamed as it fell, crashing into the streets below. "You call me a weapon," the human said softly, his voice calm but echoing across the city, "but you built me to survive." Another sentinel attacked, claws slicing through the sky. The human leaped, a blur of light, landing on its back. Energy surged from his hands, and the creature shattered midair like glass. From the palace tower, Zephyra watched, both amazed and horrified. "He's not fighting to win," she murmured. "He's remembering." The human landed back on the ground, surrounded by flames and dust. He looked toward the horizon, where hundreds more sentinels began to rise. He whispered, almost to himself, "If this is what it takes, then let them all come." The city darkened as the sky filled with red. The true war for survival had begun. The sky over Xylar 9 was no longer black. It blazed blue and red as the battle between man and machine shook the heavens. Every sentinel that fell lit the city like a sun exploding. From orbit, the planet looked alive, pulsing, glowing, trembling. Inside the palace, Empress Zephyra watched the war through a wall of holoscreens. Her people screamed for orders. Entire fleets begged for retreat. "He's destroying our world," one officer shouted. "He is our world now," she answered quietly. Down below, the human stood in the center of the ruins. His body flickered between flesh and light. His voice had changed, deeper, echoing with 1,000 tones. "Eden Protocol. Phase 2, Awakening complete." The machines around him stopped mid-attack, confused. Their red eyes turned white, matching his glow. One by one, they dropped their weapons. The human had taken control. He looked to the sky, where the last sentinel hovered. It wasn't attacking. It was listening. "You were never built to destroy," he said softly. "You were built to remember." The sentinel knelt, a ship bowing to a man. Zephyra couldn't believe what she saw. He's commanding them like he commands life itself. Her advisor whispered, trembling, "He's rewriting our DNA codes across the planet." Zephyra turned away from the screen. "Prepare my ship. I'm going to him." Minutes later, her royal cruiser descended through the smoke. She stepped onto the broken ground, her cloak torn by wind and ash. Around her, the great sentinels stood motionless, forming a silent ring. The human stood at the center, eyes glowing like stars. "You should have killed me when you had the chance," he said. "Maybe," Zephyr replied. "But I see now, you're not a weapon. You're a seed." He frowned. "What do you mean?" She pointed to the energy spreading under his feet, roots of light crawling across the ground, healing the burned soil, turning metal into green. Eden isn't destruction, she said. It's rebirth. The human looked down. The energy from his body was restoring life to the dead planet. The war machines that once killed now helped rebuild. But behind that beauty, something darker moved. A signal. A call from deep space. The human stiffened. They found me. Zephyr's eyes widened. Who? The ones who made Project Eden, he whispered. They're coming. The stars above flickered, then hundreds went dark. Something vast was entering the system. The true creators of Project Eden had arrived. The stars above Xylar 9 vanished one by one. Something massive had entered the system. Dark ships, silent and endless, blocking the light of the suns. Every living thing on the planet looked up and felt it, the return of the ones who made Project Eden. Inside the ruined city, the human stood beside Empress Zephyra. The blue glow in his veins pulsed faster, almost alive with warning. They found me, he said quietly. Who are they? Zephyra asked. The architects, the true creators of Eden. The ones who ended Earth. High above, a colossal ship opened its core. A voice filled the sky, calm, cold, inhuman. Subject Eden, 01. Your evolution is complete. Stand by for retrieval. The human clenched his fists. You think you can still control me? You are our design, the voice replied. You were never human. You are our experiment. The words struck deeper than any weapon. For a moment, he felt the old pain again, the memories of the lab, the fire, the loss of his world. Zephyra stepped forward. Is it true? He turned toward her. I was born from Earth, but built by them. I am both. The sky split open as beams of white light rained down. Every sentinel rose into the air, frozen, caught in the architect's signal. The planet began to shake apart. The human closed his eyes. If I was made by them, then I'll choose what I become. He pressed his hand to the ground. The light spread again, brighter than ever, racing through the entire planet. The roots of energy reached into the air, connecting every machine, every creature, every life form into one pulse. Eden Protocol, final sequence, freedom. The light exploded outward. The architects' ships flickered. Their weapons turned silent. The control signals died. For the first time in millennia, the galaxy heard something new, silence from the makers. When the light faded, the sky was clear. The massive fleet was gone, dissolved into dust. Xylar 9 floated quietly in space, glowing with green forests and blue oceans where once there was metal. Zephyra opened her eyes slowly. The human stood a few steps away, his glow fading. You saved us, she said. He shook his head softly. No. I set us free. The wind moved through the new grass. The sun rose again. For a moment, he looked almost peaceful. What will you do now? She asked. He looked at the horizon, where stars shimmered again, clean and bright. Find the others. If Earth was gone, maybe something of it still lives out there. He turned and began to walk toward the light, leaving footprints glowing in the soil. Behind him, Zephyra whispered to herself. The last human, or the first of something new. The camera of your story fades up through the clouds, showing the reborn planet shining against the stars. A voice, his voice, echoes in the final moment. Humanity doesn't die. It adapts.